This post-game video is brought to you by Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. All right, well, Nebraska fans, I've got the mask down. I'm about 30 yards from anybody here up in the press box. And to be very honest with you, Nebraska's defense seemed to be about 30 yards from anybody on Illinois' team today. An unbelievably disappointing and disconcerting setback for Husker football. They lose 41-23 to Illinois, and boy, there's no sugarcoating this one. Illinois schooled the Huskers. They outcoached them, they outplayed them, they outhit them. They did everything better than Nebraska did today. The coaching disparity, I thought, was notable on Illinois' offense and Nebraska's defense. Illinois seemed to have answers for everything that Nebraska was doing defensively. They seemed to have scouted them really well and schemed them really well, and Illinois did a really good job of moving the ball and getting what they wanted in the run game and in the pass game. Brandon Peters comes off a 21-day COVID protocol, and he skewered the Huskers. I mean, he played an outstanding game. He completed 18 to 25 passes for 205 yards. He was really never in trouble. He threw for a touchdown. Two different guys on Illinois' team run for 100 yards. Mike Epstein with 113, Chase Brown with 110. Ouch. That does not look pretty. Illinois racks up 490 yards. They converted 11 of 17 on third down. That is coaching. If you're getting beat that badly on that down, you have to check yourself. And Nebraska has been getting beat that badly on that down all season long. And it just doesn't stop. And at some point, you got to look at what you're doing, and you got to reassess, and you got to reevaluate. You got the right players out there. You're running the right schemes on third down, because it just doesn't seem like it. And today, Illinois was doing whatever the heck it wanted for all of this game. That was probably the most concerning thing, especially when you're coming off a week where you're giving out the black shirts and your defense is making a tough stand inside their own 22 different times in the fourth quarter against Penn State. To play like this today and not get their butts kicked all over the field, but let's be honest, they were just out-schemed and out-schooled, and Illinois knew what to do, and they knew how to play Nebraska's tendencies and cut back runs where Nebraska had overrun it. They got out in front of runs where Nebraska was slow to play. They just dominated Nebraska's defense, and they really never had too much of a sweat today. Nebraska's offense obviously had a weird first play of the game, should have been reviewed. Everybody knows that. Luke McCaffrey's rolling out. It's a weird first play call. I don't like the call. It hasn't worked. I don't know exactly why they're running that play call, but they did. McCaffrey throws an illegal forward pass. He was ahead of the line of scrimmage. He threw it about a half yard ahead of where he was to Wan'Dale Robinson. The ball goes incomplete. They rule it a fumble. Illinois recovers, and they score 3-4 plays later, and that just got Nebraska off on a terrible foot offensively. They recovered on the next drive and scored a touchdown, so they tied it up. But Nebraska's offense today, it was Luke McCaffrey just running for his life, man. Moving around. There's times he should have been throwing the ball. There were open guys around the field. You've got to make those plays. You have to make those decisions. McCaffrey was double clutching a little bit today. He was scrambling his rear end off. He ran for 122 yards. A lot of that was scrambling. Carried the ball 26 of 44 times for Nebraska. That's just way too many times to carry it. He threw 3 interceptions, and then he had the fumble on the first play of the game, and he was pulled for Adrian Martinez late in the game. I mean, Martinez didn't play a lot better. He hit a good throw to Wan'Dale Robinson and threw a touchdown, but Martinez looked rushed and harried too. Nebraska's offense just doesn't have a lot of plans. I mean, they just don't have a lot of help right now. The receivers are young. They played a new guy today in Oliver Martin, who just got eligible from Iowa. They're playing new guys all over the place. Levi Falk had a couple grabs today, including a touchdown grab. Wan'Dale Robinson finally had 6 catches for 60 yards, but everything was hard for him. Everything was hard for Nebraska's offense. They just don't have a natural flow to it. When you cannot run the football with your running back, you cannot do that when you only carry it 15 times for 82 yards, which isn't bad, but there were a lot of negative runs in there too. I mean, it's going to be hard to run your offense the way you want to run it, and that's kind of where Nebraska is right now. I mean, their offense is hard everywhere. It's going to be hard. They're going to play in fits and starts. They had moments today. They had ugly moments today. Their defense really let its guard down. I mean, they didn't get embarrassed or humiliated or run over or any of those things. They got out-schemed. And Illinois got to spots that Nebraska didn't get to. They threw passes that Nebraska couldn't defend. There were open guys, and Brandon Peters knew where they were going to be, and Nebraska's pass rush just wasn't very good. They got one sack today. Peters didn't have a whole hell of a hard time throwing the football back there. Late in the game, Colin Miller got hurt, and he was carted away on a stretcher. And, of course, we were praying for him, and we hope he's doing well. He's an important part of that defense as a captain and a leader, and we certainly hope that he's doing well. Defensively, outside of maybe Will Honus, Nebraska really struggled today. Honus played all right. I'm not sure anybody else played real good. I don't think the secondary played really well. They didn't bring their usual heat, intensity, edge. It wasn't there. In special teams, Illinois able to execute a fake punt. That's the easiest fake punt I've ever seen. So easy that Illinois' punter, Blake Hayes, wasn't sure he actually was supposed to be running. He almost fell down a couple of times. This is an embarrassing loss for Nebraska, and I'm sure they know that, and I'm sure they're going to feel chastened and frustrated and all those other things. But I'll tell you what, it comes back to me to Illinois looked more prepared, and they looked better coached. They looked like they knew where they were going, and they looked like they had a really, really good plan for Nebraska, and that really, really good plan was part of the difference in the game. Illinois comes in as a 17-point underdog. They win by 18. That's a 35-point shift. That's alarming. It's a pandemic. We should be lucky that there's a Nebraska football season at all. You note that, and you put that disclaimer in there. But at the end of the day, Nebraska fans, Nebraska players, Nebraska ex-players, Nebraska coaches, they expect more than this. Illinois 41, Nebraska 23. This is one of the more dispiriting losses in the last several years, in part because it looked like the Huskers just got out-coached. Thanks, Husker fans.